It's time for another unboxing, and I'm checking out the new Motorola G35, and I hope I haven't broke it because I dropped it coming out of work. So here is the new Motorola G35. It's my first Motorola unboxing in a while. Picked it up in midnight black with 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. Bit of a boring colour, but that is the one that was on the Black Friday offer, so that's the one that I picked up. Like I said, hopefully I haven't broke it because I dropped it on the floor coming out of work, so we'll see. So there is the Moto G35 in a pre-applied case, which I'll just chuck to the side. Now this is just the regular plastic back. I think if you get the phone in green, it's like a faux leather, which I would have preferred, but unfortunately this is the cheaper one, so I picked that up. And then in the box is just a charging cable. No plug, to be expected, and it's all recycling. It's all made of cardboard, plastic free, which is really nice. So here is the Moto G35. Big screen, breathtaking moments, 6.72 inch Full HD Plus display with 120Hz refresh rate, 50 megapixel main camera and ultra wide, which is becoming increasingly rare on these budget phones. A lot of manufacturers do away with the ultra wide in favor of depth cameras and macro cameras, etc. So there's none of that rubbish on here. Oh, that's a nice welcome screen. Now there isn't a pre-applied screen protector on entry-level Motorola phones, which is a shame. You do find that on a lot of other budget phones, but not on these. Overall, it's a nice lightweight phone. Typical chunky bezel at the bottom, and a Full HD Plus display, which is nice at this price. So I'm just going to set the phone up and then I'll come back once I've put in all of my info. Okay, so here is the Motorola G35 fresh out of the box, and as per usual there's a pretty stock version of Android on this G35, although a bit uncharacteristic of Motorola. And what I found on the last Motorola that I covered, which was the G34, is there's a few preloaded games on this G35, which is a bit of a shame because they were always known for having a very clean stock version of Android. But of course you can easily just uninstall these games should you not want them on there, which I definitely don't. And there's booking.com and TikTok, Solitaire. But yeah, other than that, it's a pretty stock version of Android. You can swipe to the right to get your news feed. And then that's basically it. I have downloaded Geekbench and I have run a Geekbench on this phone, which I will compare to that Poco C75 in just a second. But if I quickly jump into the settings of the G35, and you'll see there's just the bog standard options there with your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth options, display, wallpaper and style, home and lock screen info, and then you can set certain things for the individual lock screen and home screen, sound and vibration, notifications and gestures. And you do get the typical spinning the phone round to open the camera. Double press the power button to launch the camera, 3-finger screenshot, all that sort of stuff. Lift to check phone, raise to wake, basically, we'll turn that on. Quick capture, which is basically what I just did. Fast torch, basically karate chop to turn on your torch. And then there's a few other bits, flip to do not disturb, pick up to silence, etc. Battery information. Of course, I haven't got my SIM card in it at the moment, so there's not going to be a true reading of how long the battery's going to last. 128 gigs of storage on this G35. I believe there is a version with 256, and it's just 4 gigabytes of RAM, unfortunately, on this version, but you do get the option to boost it up to 8 gigabytes of RAM. if you want to, there's an ability to have up to 8 gigs of RAM extra on top. So 12 gigs in total potentially, but there is an AI auto setting which can optimize the RAM for the best performance. But other than that, it's just a very typical Motorola device. You've got family space, you've got Motorola notifications and Moto Secure built onto the phone. But if you punch and hold on your home screen, you can do a quick shortcut to your wallpapers. There's a few built in. I do quite like that red one. And you can set that to the home or the lock screen. I'm going to set it to both, and it'll give it a second just to change to that, and that I do prefer. And then of course you can add various widgets as well. So if I just pick a weather app, which you can add there, if I just accept those for a second because I haven't set that up just yet, and then we'll save that. And there we go. Although there is an option up there as well. And then of course you can just remove that. So running the Motorola G35 is the Unisoc T760, which is a mid-range chip. Let me just find Geekbench. These processors do seem a little bit more common in entry-level phones. And then if I pick up the Poco C75, which uses a MediaTek Helio G81 Ultra, and you can see there is a clear advantage using the G85. There's considerable performance improvements despite having just 4 gigs of RAM over the 6 gigabytes on the Poco. So that's a nice fluid processor. You've got 120 Hz refresh rate on this 1080p display, and as you can see, it is really smooth. Performance seems to be taken care of really well. And then I'll just quickly jump into the camera and take a few snaps. Let's start with a selfie. Let's start with a portrait shot. Auto rotate is not switched on, so let's turn that on, as it's not on by default. There we go. Not too bad, to be fair. It is that time of year, Christmas. Got the Christmas tree up. And then if I just go on to photo, took a second there, and then take a picture of the Christmas tree. It's not too bad. We'll do one of the Poco. And there is also the 8 megapixel ultra wide, which of course won't give you the best performance, but it's absolutely serviceable, especially in better lighting conditions than what we have here. And then of course there's a few other options. There's a slow-mo, there's a video mode, which will allow you to shoot 4K video, which is really nice. And then of course there's the usual photo mode, portrait, QR code, pro mode, and more with a few extras there as well. And overall the design of the G35 is nice. I would have preferred it in one of those more garish colors just for that sort of eco leather design, but this is really nice and it sort of slopes up nicely into that camera housing. And it is nice to have a 50 megapixel main camera and an 8 megapixel ultra wide, not one of those useless 2 megapixel cameras, which you traditionally find on budget phones at this price. And of course you do get that fingerprint scanner built into the power button, which I will very quickly set up. So then if we just can be a bit of a slow process doing these fingerprint scanners, but they do tend to be pretty reliable once they're set up. Just making sure you get all parts of your finger. I won't add another one just yet, and then we'll test it out. Not too bad, but it should be absolutely serviceable. So that's my very quick look at the Motorola G35. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to drop a full review of this phone after using it for a few weeks. But overall, seems like a pretty decent phone, and it is running on Android 14. And I did have a look online to see if there's any or what software support there is for this phone, and I've read a couple of websites. One says a couple of years, another one says 3 years. So it'd be interesting to see what updates you do get down the line, but you are up to date with Android 14. So yeah, do let me know down in the comments what you think of this phone, if you'd like to see a full review, and I'll see you in the next one.